Today is time for some serious paranoid vault tech shit. That is, I'm gonna drink milk that expired in the year 2020. So wonder what happens. I ran out of space in my freezers for preps, so I'm taking out an old milk. This is from April 2nd, 2020. You can see here. That was an expiration of April 2nd, so probably packed March of 2020. So pre-pandemic. I'm gonna thaw it out and see what it's like when it's thawed out. Let's see how it thaws out and how it comes out. Now note that milk, when you freeze it, because this is full fat whole milk, will have a slightly yellowish color and a strange texture to it because of the way the various components separate during freezing. So I have this thermal infrared camera that I can use, and looking at it, basically the cold spot is at 21 Fahrenheit. So it's still sub-zero or below 32. So this will take a while to warm up. You can see that the handle is a bit warmer. Then see that part is already approaching melting, whereas that part there is still deep frozen. So about an hour later, you can see that the handle looks like it has warmed up significantly. It's no longer frozen solid. And then the main body is still frozen, and the core is still sub-zero, or well, ice, sub 32 degrees. Okay, the milk continues to thaw. You can see that it's collecting a lot of moisture from the air. And on infrared, again, the handle looks like it's thawed out. As you can see, it's basically warm. And the body is approaching freezing. In some places it's above freezing. Okay, yet another hour-ish time has passed. And now when we look at the milk container, it's still at frozen temperatures in its core, but the handle is fully thawed out. And also if I touch it, the handle doesn't seem that cold. I can hear some crunching. It's basically starting to, I can actually push a little bit on this dimple here too. So it's starting to thaw out, and some fluid is kind of moving around inside. So it's starting to thaw out. You can see I can also push it. And if you look carefully, you can see that there's that that consistency. Almost looks like when you mix vinegar and milk together, it creates like a little lumpiness. That's the normal behavior of milk after it's been frozen and thawed out. So it's not spoiled. It's actually the way milk freezes is some of its proteins and structures separate. So it creates like a binary mixture that's not homogenized. So that's still good. And it's still cold, so it's still has a way to go. Okay, yeah, now it's almost noon, so a couple hours, about another hour or so later. Let's see what, I'm gonna open the front aperture. So the milk, the handle is actually now becoming warm. The interior is still cold. But now, definitely becoming more fluid-like. The exterior is now fluid. There's still a solid core, though. So basically a solid chunk of ice in the middle, and the exterior is thawed out. So we'll keep letting it thaw out some more. Okay, another hour or so almost has passed. Let's see what the milk looks like. So it's basically the handle is getting warm, but the body is still cold. Like in some places like half an inch or so, or even more, before it hits something solid. So it's beginning its thaw, but it's still, here it's like quite a bit in. So in some places it's still solid, in others it's significantly thawed out. Here we go, it's a little bit later. You can see how our milk jug is doing. This bump is still sticking out, but I could actually start inverting it soon. I think very soon I'll be able to invert it back. Now it seems mostly molten. Several hours later, I actually think this is now something I can put in the refrigerator. And it's still cool, according to the FLIR. This is expiration April 13th of 2022. This one expired April 2nd of 2020, except I've kept it frozen. Now you'll notice that there's some, it has returned to its original shape, which is good. And you do see the texture in there, because again, I told you that milk does texturize after it thaws, freezes and thaws. And they've both been in refrigerators. I let this one, first I thawed this one out, then I let it sit in the refrigerator for a day. So this is like the next day. And roughly they're kind of at a similar temperature. This one, I think the refrigerator in the kitchen maybe is a little bit colder. Let me see, 34.7. Actually, this one might even be a little colder still, probably because it might still have some coldness from its freeze. So anyway, these two milks are both cold, and I'm going to now test them out. And then I'm going to literally taste test them. So first, nothing special about this milk, just regular milk. Pour some in here. Put it in this fridge here. And now this is our special milk, our 2-year-old milk. Cracking that open. Now it does have a little lumpiness to it, not because it's spoiled, but because of the freezing process. Now, again, the frozen and thawed out milk, even if it was fresh and brand new and not 2 years old, would have the same texture. So now, the question is, taste test time. So first, okay, it's regular milk, just like it's supposed to be. And this one, not bad. It actually is mostly the same as regular milk. It's got a little texture to it, but otherwise it's basically the same. I'm gonna add a little more. I'm wondering if I just kind of stir it a little bit, if it'll if I can rehomogenize it in some way, because this has been basically dehomogenized because of the freezing process. The different proteins in the milk separate out. I wonder if I used to have a little hand mixer here. Just try an experiment. If I can make the milk, the frozen milk from 2 years ago, make it look like regular milk. It's good stuff. If I just kind of stir it a little bit. I don't want to whisk it. I just want to homogenize it. So I have no idea if this will work. If this is even a good idea. I'm gonna see what happens. I'll try homogenizing it. In fact, I've never used this machine before, so let's find out. Okay, let's find out. So if I homogenize this, can I turn this lumpy milk into regular looking milk? Let's find out. Again, it looks lumpy, looks scary, but it actually tastes pretty good. So that was a pretty big mistake. I had tried to homogenize the milk, rehomogenize it, that is, using this these these powered mixers. But unfortunately, I had forgotten that there's actually some drain holes in here. I should have used a different container. But I did rehomogenize it a little bit, and now I'm going to pour it out, and it is more smooth. It's almost, with just that brief little stir, it's almost like the fresh milk. Let me get the fresh milk back for comparison. I'm pretty sure if I were to just re-stir it better, it would come out even better. So now, less lumpy looking. In fact, I'm going to have another one out here as a control. This is now just straight out with the original lumpiness. So this here is fresh milk. This is milk straight out of the thawed out milk. And this is the kind of partially rehomogenized milk. So this one is kind of halfway in between that and that. So not like the original, but still much better. I'm now going to try to actually have this whisker. I can put it in here. Mix it. Mix it up a little bit. This will be more effective at rehomogenizing. So I'm getting a little bit of a froth on there, just like, I mean, as if I was whisking milk. I'm gonna try to pour some out. But it actually is looking quite homogenized down here, away from the froth. And if I look here, if you look there, does not look bad at all. I'm kind of get rid of the foam. This is just my experiment here, so I don't really care about getting my finger in it or anything. Okay, well, I'm going to just drink this now. Much smoother. It's almost indistinguishable from fresh milk. So you just take frozen milk, thaw it out, and then run it through some simple rehomogenization process. You can reconstitute it pretty well. That's what it seems like. So again, this is milk that's expired 2 years ago, at least according to its date that's printed on the bottle. But I kept it in a deep freeze for all this time. In fact, I could probably refreeze it and continue experiments. But I've got lots of other jars that are lots of other gallons that are frozen. And the whole reason I did this was because I ran out of freezer space, and I decided that milk was my lowest value frozen item, and I would rather put better preps into my freezers. Let's see. I wonder if I actually can have space to put this back in. I might be able to refreeze it. I mean, I have these smaller containers, but these don't, this just doesn't quite do the same justice. I would rather continue to refreeze the same milk. So perhaps through hook and crook, I'll be able to refreeze that same gallon and continue the experiment. I'm going to try to refreeze it and see if it reconstitutes again later as another thaw out. So we'll see. Maybe 2 years from now I'll redo the same milk. Oh, and if you came here for solar reasons, well, my solar system has been running this refrigerator and freezer for all this time, so that's 2 years of solar powered freeze on that milk. Here's the fresh 2022 era milk, and here's the various stages of rehomogenization of the 2020 milk. It actually looks like it's kind of separating out a little bit. So again, I'm going to do a last taste test comparison. So fresh milk and rehomogenized. This has almost a slightly creamier taste to it, but that's probably because I was whisking it. But otherwise, it's very similar to the fresh milk. Not spoiled at all, even though it's 2 years old. There you have it.